Good morning, my name is Lev. Today we're going to cover how to conduct and organize webinars on TrueConf Server platform. This presentation will be delivered on demand as the video recording for your convenience. The presentation will be split in 4 parts. The first part, we're going to cover how to properly configure the TrueConf server. After that, we'll talk about how to properly set up the webinar conference. This is a special type of the conference. After that, we will see how to manage the conference, the webinar, what we can do during the conference, how we can manage the participants and the guests. And after that, we're going to cover the recording and analytics and chat messages and the summary for the conference, which can be prepared. So let's start with TrueConf server configuration first. As you might know, the TrueConf server is the on-premises platform. It has to be installed on your computer, virtual machine. It can be installed in the cloud, but it is still the on-premises installation which you have to manage. And that on-premises installation is not a cloud service. So it is not possible to conduct a meeting in TrueConf if you have only login and password. You have to host a server for your organization, or you have to ask from your organization who already has TrueConf server for the login and password to organize the conference. So let's imagine you are an administrator for TrueConf server, and to successfully organize and conduct webinar, you have to do some very important settings. We are not able to cut this because those settings has to be done on TrueConf server side to make webinars possible. So the first of all, and the most important one, you need the domain name for the machine, for the computer where TrueConf server is installed. Not IP address. You need a fully useful domain name. It could be trueconf.company.com, it could be videoconference.company.com or webinar, whatever. That domain name has to be set in the settings inside TrueConf control panel, TrueConf server control panel. We have a lot of examples and guides in our documentation how to properly do this. Make sure that the domain name for your TrueConf server is also listed in the list of the public addresses of your server, in case your server is located inside DMZ or inside the private network. The guests, your participants, should be able to find it using the external address, and you have to properly set up the network equipment you are using, like NAT, like firewalls, routers, to make sure that the external address is properly translated into internal address where TrueConf server is installed. If you have TrueConf server in the cloud, no such configuration is required. Just make sure that the address you have is public address. The second most important part is about the security. We really want our guests, our participants, to join the conference using their browsers. By the way, TrueConf server fully support not just desktop browsers, but also all kinds of mobile browsers. So we're making sure, compared to some other platforms which do not support this, that even your mobile users who don't want to install mobile application will be able to join the meeting, to join the webinar, if they're using mobile Safari browser, mobile Chrome browser, and some others. We make sure everything will work smoothly. And we also guarantee for you that all major desktop browsers are fully supported. However, for browser experience, we have to use, not native for us, third-party protocol, which is called WebRTC. WebRTC is how browsers manage real-time video and audio. And to access the video and audio, we need to enable HTTPS, secure data channel between the browser and the server. We always recommend to do that. There is no exceptions, so you have to do this anyway. If you'd like to invite people using the browser, so HTTPS is very, very important. And if you really want to avoid all kinds of warnings which could be displayed for self-signed certificate, please make sure to obtain the commercial or legal SSL certificate for your domain name, which you are using for external address of TrueConf server. So the address where TrueConf server is located, the address where your participants for the webinar will connect to, need to have the valid SSL certificate, it is possible to get one free of charge. We have a detailed guide on how to do that. You can follow the link on the right side of the slide. You can see the QR code which opens the guide how to obtain the Let's Encrypt certificate, for example. But that's not a big deal, but it is a very important step. Otherwise, some browsers will prohibit your users to even see the conference. Most of the browsers will allow your participants to see and hear the conference, but they will not be able to ask a question using audio remarks. They will not be able to step up onto the podium to ask the questions. So in other words, without properly set up SSL certificate, your remote participants will be just listeners. They will not be able to participate and send their audio and video back to TrueConf Server to be visible for other participants of the conference, including the hosts. That's important. Other settings are not crucial, they are optional. By default, when we ship TrueConf Server as an installation, as a distributive for you, we set the resolution quality and frame rate to 720p 30 frames per second. But if you believe you need a high quality for your webinar and you have a nice connectivity for your participants, for example, your server is located in the network with very nice internet connection, hundreds of megabits, maybe a gigabit internet connection, so you can make sure that you can distribute 1080p Full HD video streams from your server. You have to remember that when we connect many people together, we still need to encode and send the video stream to every participant. So let's say we have 100 participants and 1080p Full HD video requires 2 megabits per second. That requires from us to have at least 200 megabits per second of outgoing channel. We need at least 200 megabits per second internet connection, but that's the bare minimum. We recommend to have some overhead, some additional channel bandwidth available. So you have to play with those settings. 720p is very nice, very high quality, but if you have a very nice connection to the internet from where your participants will join, you can upscale up to 1080p. However, if your participants will join using TrueConf applications and you have many speakers, not just a single speaker with a single conference stream, single slide deck, we can actually deliver to your guests, to your participants, much higher 4K resolution, but for that they need to use TrueConf application because the web experience, WebRTC experience is limited to 1080p. The next setting is about limitations. That's quite important because we sometimes, not always, we really don't want for our webinar participants to send the files, for example, to the group chat. It could be dangerous for other participants. For example, if someone will drop a dangerous file to the public chat of the webinar, other visitors will be able to download it and run and execute it. It could be not really secure, so we recommend you to disable the opportunity for guest participants to upload the files to the chat. So we have a dedicated settings for that, which are highlighted on the screenshot. You can consult with the documentation, but there are many different ways how you can manage the privileges for different types of users. You have to look for the bottom line, which is dedicated for guest users, and you have to remove the checkboxes for file upload, maybe download if you wish, for guest connections. So we are done with the server, TrueConf Server setup. Now we have the public domain name for TrueConf Server. We have SSL certificate properly set up on TrueConf Server site. We decided which quality, which corresponds to our available network bandwidth will be able to distribute from our server machine. And we decided, do we want our guests, our participants to share files with other participants? That's it. Let's move forward. Now we changed the role. So the previous settings were for administrator of TrueConf Server. The administrator usually is not the person who organizes and hosts the webinars. So we usually delegate this for the employees of the company, usually marketing team, sales team. So we need to provide the person who will be the host, the login and password on TrueConf Server. It should be a regular user, and very importantly, that user needs to have TrueConf client application installed. We do not recommend to organize and participate for hosts in the webinars from the browser, because browser experience is very limited due to the limitations of WebRTC protocol. So our client applications are fully featured and has all the controls, all the required to successfully manage and run the webinars. So let's move forward. Now I'm taking the role of the host, the person who is able to organize meetings using client application connected to TrueConf Server. Inside the client application, we have a dedicated button for conferences, for scheduling. And inside that menu, you are able to create conferences on the go, which are called ad hoc meetings, or you can schedule a conference in advance for a specific time and date. And that's the right way of what we need, because the webinar is a kind of a session which has a very specific date and very specific time when people have to join it. We have to select a specific type of conference. As you can see on the left part of the slide, we have 4 different types of conferences. But for webinars, we specifically need the moderated role-based conference. Why moderated? That means that we have a specific role of the moderator inside the conference. And without moderator or owner of the conference approve, other participants are not able to present, are not able to share anything, and they could be muted all the time, or they could be transferred to the waiting hall, waiting list. So we need a specific type of the conference where we can be sure that even if the person has microphone enabled and the camera enabled, he will never appear in the layout. He will never be visible to other participants until the moderator gives them such privilege. For that, we have a special conference mode moderated role-based conference, where we have a specific term which is called podium. So the moderators can move people from the audience to the podium, and from the podium back to the audience. And only people who are on the podium, they are presenters, they are speakers. All others are just listeners. So we basically have 2 types. The type of users who are listeners, they could be guests, local users from your server, it doesn't matter. And we have a second type, the speakers, people who are visible to others. And also, this type of conference is important because it has very large size supported. Moderated role-based conferences could connect up to 2,000 participants. 2,000, that's a lot. It's like YouTube streaming. So that's a lot of people can simultaneously be connected in real time without delays, without streaming. So we do support streaming, so you can stream the webinar, no problem. You can record it like I'm doing today. But the idea behind the webinar is to collect the feedback, to give the opportunity for your participants and for your listeners to present, to share their voices, to share their opinions. And the live webinar is very, very important type of meeting for what we use moderated role-based conference. Another basic and important setting you have to set up is the top setting, top checkbox on the right side of this slide, which is called guest participants. When you prepare the webinar, you have to make sure that people who don't have registration, who are not signed up with your server, who are not your colleagues, who are not your employees, because usually a webinar is a public event. We need to connect to our webinar people who don't have the domain controller login and password from your organization. So they're from somewhere, from global internet, from public space. So we need to enable guest participants access. By security standards, by default, it is prohibited. So you have to select and enable this checkbox manually to make sure, implicitly, to make sure that guests will be able to join your meeting. So 2 important parts. First, create role-based conference. And the second, please enable guest access for your webinar. For other internal types of conferences, this is not required, but for webinars, it is crucial. After that, everything is straightforward. You type the conference name, you select the date, you select the time. You can decide whether the conference should be recorded, whether we need to provide the speech-to-text recognition for the conference. Do we need to extend the conference if the time will end? Do we need to mute participants on entry? You will see everything from the interface. It is pretty straightforward, nothing difficult, like everywhere else. And after that, we recommend you to additionally specify some of your colleagues as a moderator. So please assign a moderator badge, a moderator role for forthcoming conference to one of your colleagues or multiple colleagues. And those people will be able to join the conference in advance. They will be able to run it before everybody else joins, before the scheduled time will arrive. And they will also be able to help you during the webinar. Some webinars could be pretty large, hundreds of participants, 500, 1,000, and you definitely need someone to assist you with questions, participants management, troubleshooting. Please make sure if you have a webinar you plan to have more than 100 participants, assign someone as the moderator. That will significantly help you. Just imagine, for some reason, from the location you are joining your webinar, you will be disconnected for some reason. I don't know why. Things happen. So you make sure that your colleague, the second or third moderator, will take over the control over the meeting and will be able to speak, manage podium participants, presentations, etc. Don't forget to create the specific link. By default, the conference will look like a bunch of digits, like 0, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. But if you like to have a specific link, just put it here. In the connection settings, you can set up the conference ID, which will be used for your webinar just once. Some nice looking URL will be in the end, like your TrueConf Server public address /webinar or /company presentation or /product launch, whatever you have in your mind, and that will be transferred to the URL. Please pay attention to the second part of this screenshot. Participants management. Don't forget to mute participants on entry. Don't forget to disable participants' video cameras on entry. Otherwise, if you have not role-based conference, but other types of conferences, people who will join will create a chaos, because they will, usually people don't disable their mics when they join the conference, so they could produce some noises, some voices, which could be recorded, and you really don't want to have anything wrong on your recording of the webinar, because usually people share the recording of the webinar, like we're going to do today. So we really don't want anyone to disturb our audio channel, so we really want everybody to be muted once they join the conference, including the speakers, most importantly, and the moderators. That's why we have such settings. You can, if you wish, enable registration. This is optional. So basically that's it. So we are ready to host a webinar. We selected the conference name, we selected the conference URL ID, but it is also optional. We selected the moderators, date and time, so we're ready to go. But sometimes we really want to know who are our listeners, who are our participants of the webinar. For that, we have a special feature which is called registration form. So you can select fields. Some fields are obligatory, like email field, which is really required. You are not able to change it or remove it, so we need an email for every registration. You will understand why. But all other fields are optional, so you can select the company name, city location, position inside the company, department, preferred type of food, whatever suits your webinar. So you can collect all type of data from your guests, and those fields, some of them could be required, some of them could be not required. You decide which fields are required. You basically create the registration form, and only people who finish that registration form will be able to join the conference. Even if webinar is already started, they will not be able to join the conference until they finish the registration. And also, after the registration, they receive a special one-time use link. So the link which could be used only for this specific user to join the conference. It could be used multiple times, but only for that user, only for that browser. We make sure that only a registered person will be able to join the conference after the registration. So there is no point to exchange links, no point to share those between other participants. And this way we make sure That's the person who fill up the form, this specific person, is actually attended the webinar or didn't attend the webinar. So you also have a presence control with registration enabled. So we always recommend to have this. This is quite useful. So when you have a lot of people inside the webinar, hundreds of people, it is always interesting to know from where they're connected, where do they work, how big their company is, how do they think about, how they did learn about your webinar, what was the channel where they read about your webinar, etc. So all kind of useful information for your marketing team and for your sales team can be obtained on this step. Don't forget about it. Registration is cool and we really recommend it. Reminders. Once the person is registered, and if you have SMTP integration in place, which is a different part of TrueConf Server configuration, which is optional, we can remind people who are registered many times, like every day, every hour, or on specific time. It's up to you. So you can select the itinerary for notifications for registered persons to make sure they will not be able to miss the webinar, then will not be able to miss the link to join the meeting. And every invitation also has the calendar invitation fields and calendar invitation file. So we make sure that all calendar platforms will be able to properly understand the location link, the time zone of the webinar, the title, the name of the webinar, and the link on how to join. So invitations are important, so we recommend you to have SMTP integration settings properly set up for you to be able to send out the invitations for people who register. People who do not register receive nothing. It's your business to share the link and your business to remind people to join the webinar on the right time. That's why the registration is also quite useful, because you can leverage your work to TrueConf Server procedures for notification setting. You can also do some branding for recording for WebRTC participants. From our experience, 95% of all participants of your webinars, they join using the browser, not TrueConf client applications, because they're guests, they're not your local users, they're not your colleagues who use TrueConf applications. So for them, we offer some branding, so you can change the background, for example, of your webinar layout. You can also place the badge, the logo, and the difference is quite simple. The background is always on the background, and the logo is always on the foreground. So, and the layout, your content, your speakers are like in a sandwich in between. So you can brand with your logo, company name, ministry, organization name, whatever you'd like to highlight could be placed as the logo, and some specific background could also be selected. The resolution is 1080p Full HD, so play with it. That significantly changes how your webinar looks like, and you can use the pure recording for upload, because you don't need to do some post edit. You can use the raw recording for the upload of your webinar. If you like to bring more security for your webinar, for example, you don't want to enable registration, but you really want to make sure that if the link will leak, how I'm going to protect that only invited people will join. For that, if you have guest participants, we strictly recommend to consider the following options. Because if you don't have guest participants enabled, only authenticated users from your server will be able to join the conference, or federated users, so you trust them by default because they have passed authentication on your domain controller inside your single sign-on system like ADFS, Keycloak, whatever your company is using. But for guest conferences, we are not able to ask people to do authentication, otherwise they did it. So we need to introduce some additional layers of security, and our recommendation is quite simple. You can use PIN code, but please distribute the PIN code using separate channel. By default, we never, compared to other systems, TrueConf never includes PIN code in the default template. You can use PIN code template, but we don't want to use it. We don't recommend you to use it. So that's why all webinar invitations don't have PIN code enabled. So you have to deliver it in the different way, different channel. If you send out email invitations, please use a second email with PIN code, or different channel like your corporate chat platform for PIN code distribution. You can also make sure that all participants will join waiting room. When they join the conference, they go to the waiting room, not to the conference when the conference starts. You can also log the conference. If you think that that's right time, all people are collected. We don't need more visitors, which is quite rare for the webinars. We always want more viewers, more participants. But anyway, you can log the conference and nobody will join. Only your local authenticated users will be able to join the conference. You can also enable automatic approve join request. That makes creates a special pop-up for moderators, not just for you. You're usually busy with slides and demonstrations, so your moderators could help. So moderators could approve every request to join the webinar if you enable this second checkbox, which is displayed on the middle part of the slide. And that's it. We're done with the preparation for the webinar from the host part. Now you have a link. Everybody who has the link, it is your business to distribute it. They can join the conference once the time is right. So participants, except for moderators and except for the owner of the conference, will never be able to join the conference before the time is right, before it starts. But host, the owner, can join the conference any moment. And let's say prepare the slide deck, upload some files, check the visuals, microphone, etc. Sound check can also be done because some other moderators can join the conference, and the owner can invite other authenticated users from your server during the checkup. But all other participants will be able to join the conference only when it started. On the right side of the slide, you can see the registration form, which is quite basic, but it's up to you to enable it. We recommend to have it. Once the user is registered, he will receive this link. This is a very specific link. It has a lot of information inside. It is a specific registration token, which makes sure that only invited user will be able to join the conference. We actually encrypt inside the link the name, all the fields you collected inside the registration form. So everything is encrypted in the link. So user can use this specific one-time link to join the conference. It is impossible to share it. If other user will try to use this link, he will be asked to do registration once again. So we monitor how link is used. Okay, so we are done with preparation. Let's move forward. Now we need to actually manage the webinar, work with participants, and share our documents and content. So how we are going to do so? So when the conference starts, the host and the moderators will automatically receive incoming call. So all people who were specifically included into the participant list in advance, they will be called by TrueConf Server when the conference starts. This way they will miss anything. They will miss nothing because TrueConf Server will collect participants, moderator, other participants who were selected before during the scheduling process. But guests will be able to join only using the link and only after the conference started. For the host of the meeting, we have specific tools how to properly do this. And our recommendation is to collect in advance. Half an hour is optimal, maybe at least 15 minutes before your webinar starts. Get into the room, check the light, check the voice, check the audio, and to make things simpler for you, as I said, it is possible for the host to start the conference in advance. For example, your start time is 11 a.m., but you get into the conference room 10:30. You click Start the Conference button inside your TrueConf application, and you, as a host, join your webinar conference in advance. So you can invite other people there to check your audio, to check your visuals, to check your slides, your content and everything, and you just stay there until the time for the conference arrive, and when the start time arrive, the guests will be able to join. So, and you already will be there. So if you decided to put people to the waiting room, they will be collected in the waiting room after the conference start, but you are able to join in advance to check everything. And we also recommend to do this even further, maybe 1 hour before, if you have some remote speakers. You can do this a day in advance. So you share the single link with your remote speakers, your experts. You can check the connection a week before, a couple of days before. Once again, you tell them the check time, you start the conference in advance, and they are able to join your conference while you are in. You can invite them using the address book inside TrueConf application to check everything, and after that, they can leave and wait until the actual conference will start, actual webinar will start. To improve your experience, not even yours, but your participants' experience, your guest experience, we recommend to set up the video file as the default content until you actually start. For example, you mute your camera, you mute your microphone, you start the video file broadcast inside TrueConf application as a host, and you wait until people collect. Let's say, usually it is up to 5 minutes. We wait until people collect. So the conference have started at 11 a.m. So we need to wait a couple of minutes before all people receive calendar notifications. They click a join button on the web page. They actually get inside the conference. And during that time, you play something, nice music. It could be music, nice video. It could be image file, for example, to tell people that the conference will start in a few minutes. Take your places, ask your questions, and welcome. So we have all the tools, but it is also optional. If you wish, you can start right away and present yourself. How to share the slideshows? We recommend to share the slideshows because when you do share the application, when you share your desktop, and this is, by the way, the default way other vendors do, they ask you to share your application or browser tab or the entire desktop. This is not secure because you can forget that you're sharing something. You can highlight some sensitive files, materials, email client application, your messenger application when you share your desktop. And for webinar, which is usually full with people you don't know, the general audience, anonymous people, public which connected using the links, they are never authenticated. So it is a good idea not to share in real time anything, but only share some in advance prepared documents. So we recommend you to prepare the slide deck. We fully support all different types of slides. It could be a PowerPoint, PDF, LibreOffice, and other formats like ODP. So you can upload them in advance inside our application. You can also mix the uploaded slides with images. So we have a special dedicated slides editor for that. So you can prepare slides in advance. For example, if you're a sales rep, you can have many different slides decks prepared in advance, which are mixed from PowerPoint and PDF files, and you can play them inside every conference. So you don't need to upload them every time. So you can do this in advance. So once your slides are uploaded, you can actually show them to the audience. This is very, very simple. And when you do slide share, the information is sent to the conference along with your video. So your video is visible, your slides are visible. You have a special wizard which allows you to control the slides. So you can preview the next slide, you can move forward, you can move backward, you can put the slides on the pause and make yourself larger on the screen, because when we connect it from the browser, we automatically make the speaker larger when slides are not presented and smaller when slides are presented. So you can control this. So all the tools in place, but importantly, you are absolutely safe, because you can only share what is inside your slides, not your desktop, not your notifications, not your personal or corporate applications. Please also make sure that we can also make sure that during the slide share, you can access your participant list and chat, so you can see the slides, you can see the questions in the chart, you can answer questions, you can answer using your voice or chat, whatever is preferable, because you see the TrueConf application, you see the conference application during your slide deck presentation. Because in other systems, when you do share, actually the conference is minimized. That's not convenient, not comfortable. But with TrueConf, you can share your slides and you can see other participants, other speakers. In the same time, you can see the full chat and the full participant list to manage them. That's important. And by the way, we have a very nice feature to cut you out from your background if you wish. We do fully support noise suppression, virtual backgrounds, AI-based voice recognition, speech-to-text recognition, summary creation, whatever. But the idea is that we can cut you from your background and put you above your slides. This is very cool. We also do support the multi-window mode. For example, if you'd like to detach the conference control from the actual layout, for example, you also have some people on site, which is called hybrid meeting. So you have like a meeting of two. You have remote participants and you have listeners, participants on site inside your room or conference hall. So multi-window mode is really helpful. So you can move the conference window on the projector or LED wall and still manage the conference from the second part of TrueConf application, which is now detached, the conference control with chat, participants, etc. So quite useful. Don't forget that we have this feature. It is also optional, but it is inside the application. So that's it. The conference is over. Don't forget to extend it. If the time is very close, like 10 or 15 minutes to the end of the conference, you will see a special pop-up like, would you like to extend the conference? Don't miss it. We have a special notification bar in the application. So if you'd like to check it, it is always available. It will not disappear without your action. So you have to either to extend the meeting or ignore the notification. So you will always see that. So once the conference is over, you have to hang up the button. And once you click the hang up the button, all guests, all participants from the browser are disconnected. If you do not hang up the conference for all participants, you just leave. Some other people could stay in the conference, and that will continue, that will be visible in the recording. So we recommend you, once the conference is over, hang up the conference, terminate it for all participants. So don't leave it, just terminate it. And after that, the session will be over, all guests will be disconnected, and the recording will be finished. That's important. So what we do offer for you after the webinar? The first of all is the recording. So inside the planner, inside the TrueConf application, in the tab for your webinar, which you use to create one and manage one, you now can see the conference recordings. So if your conference had multiple sessions, for example, the checkup session with speakers and the final webinar session, you will have a couple of files. Just download them for your reference. Do whatever you want with them. Share with participants, compress them, share on YouTube, whatever you prefer. But now you have a recording. The same analytics page can be used to access the registration data for your participants. The access for the attendance statuses, who used the link to join the meeting or who is not. There are some visuals like graphs, the real-time graphs for how many participants joined the meeting during the conference. You can also access chat history, and you can also access the speech-to-text recognition of the conference. So everything is available in the analytics section, so it gives you some insights, how your webinar worked out, how good it was, and etc. So this is the basic. So a lot of slides, but don't think things are complicated. Once your IT personnel, once your IT administrator properly set up the server, everything else is quite easy. So let me show you in real life how we can do that. For that, I will create a conference for you. So let's create a webinar inside TrueConf application. So I'm authenticated in TrueConf application. This is our Windows application, so quite simple. Now we have a special section which is called conferences. So we have a slideshows, contacts, calls, etc. Conference sections is used to create ad hoc conferences like Start Now. So I created a conference on the go. But this is not the right choice for the webinar. For webinar, we need a time and date. So I click on schedule a conference here. Now I need to put the webinar name. I need to select the moderated role-based conference. Don't forget about it. The size depends on how many speakers you have. Let's have, I'm going to have 2 speakers, me and my assistant. So that makes 2 speakers and 1,200 viewers at maximum. I need to select date and time. Let's make it on Saturday, just for testing purposes, 4 p.m. 30 minutes. and the duration will be 2 hours. And that's it. And the most important part before we finish the creation of the webinar is to click guest participants. We are done. Don't forget to enable the recording. It's up to you, but we recommend to have it. Let's create a conference link. So now we have a conference link. Here it is. This is our link. Webinar name. Let's change the language. This is our conference page. We have our webinar name. It will start in 1 day, 0 hours, 22 minutes. This conference will be recorded, so we tell your participants in advance that the conference will be recorded. We tell them who is the owner and the time of the conference, some other additional information we provide. But for you, it is important that you can access the settings. For example, you decided, okay, let's invite someone from my team. Let's say Amanda will be my second moderator, my assistant. So I assigned her with moderator privileges. Let's save it. Oh, I forget. Let's also change the settings and enable the mutes. So I will mute all participants on entry, and I will also ask them to stop the video. And also, I forget to enter the beautiful name for our webinar. I will name it launch, some product launch. And I will send email invitation to Amanda, etc. Yeah, let's enable the conference extension. So I will be able to extend it after the duration is over. And that's it. It's more than enough. So now our webinar is ready. And let's imagine it is the checkup time. So I start the conference. I will select people who are invited to the conference, me and Amanda. Let's say I will check just with myself. So now I received an invitation from TrueConf Server. I am inside this conference. It will start tomorrow. So it is just a checkup. So I enable the camera and enable the microphone. I can share some slides in advance, just to check that everything works smoothly, that we can use this session to train speakers, to make them acknowledge with the capabilities of the application, to remember the link, but link is the same. So this is our link, conference page launch. This is our conference. We checked everything, so we can play with layouts, we can do whatever we want to do, so all things are possible in TrueConf. We change slides, looks good. Looks good. So we are fine. So we are ready. So that's it. Let's just stop it and go to the upcoming webinar for tomorrow. You can see our webinar is scheduled for tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. for 2 hours. It is a public. Public means we have guest access. I am the host. My name is Jane in this application. We don't have a lot of registrations available. So we're ready. But let's imagine we'd like to have a registration in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to my calendar, I select tomorrow meeting, and I go to the settings, and now I need to enable registration. So let's click here, enable registration. We will close the registration when the conference is over. We will request email confirmation, and we will allow people from our local server, authenticated users, to join the conference without registration. This is quite useful because you probably know your colleagues, you know people who are authenticated on your TrueConf server, so we don't need to ask them to fill up the form. But for others, we need to fill up the form. So unfortunately, I'm not able to edit the fields because the conference has been started already once. But if we are able to check and change those fields before the first run of the conference, before the checkup or before the webinar. But even those settings, default settings are enough. We will see the first and last name and the email of the person. So now we have registration enabled. So let's go to this conference page. And before we would be able to join the conference, we will need to sign up. So this is our registration page. So I need to put my name, I need to put my email address, and only after that I will be able to join the conference or receive invitation on the email. So that's it. Wait a little bit. We are done. So my registration is confirmed. The notification invitational email is sent to my email address. That's it. I can edit my fields any moment, or I can just close it and wait for the conference to start. So that's how we do the webinar. So quite straightforward. You have a lot of controls. And once the conference is over, we can download the recordings. For example, this is the download for the conference we just made, because when I do some testing, the conference was recorded automatically, so we can see it.
In advance, we can use this session to train speakers, to make them affect everything.
So the recording is available for every session. You can download it from this web page. So that's it. Thank you for your time. Today we have covered how to prepare the server, how to brand and organize the webinars, how to enable registration for webinars, how to conduct the webinars, how to safely share your content inside the webinars, and how to access the artifacts after the meetings, like chat messages, recording, speech-to-text recognition, etc. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned. We are going to deliver you some other wonderful presentation about our products. Thank you. Bye-bye.